What's up, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Shane Wilson, and here in this one, I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be going through and I'm going to be listing 20 actors, because originally it was 10, and then I had 15, and then I had 20, that I think will win Oscars. And this is at some point in the future. I think that these actors will win Oscars, or, I'm not going to put all this in the title because it would be really long. They'll at least get an Oscar nomination, or maybe multiple. It just kind of depends person to person, but I'll kind of dive into that a little bit. I'm keeping this just to actors right now. I have a list of actresses as well. I haven't fully typed it out, but I have the list, so that'll be coming soon, probably later this week or next week, just depending on when this video comes out. And I could spend this whole list just saying, oh, this person is so-and-so, they're such a great actor, blah, 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 blah. That's the whole point. I probably will be doing that a little bit, but if I don't say like, oh, this person's a great actor, obviously they're a great actor, I think that they could win or be nominated for an Oscar. This also is just not just young actors. We have some actors here in their 40s and 50s, and then we also have some younger actors as well. I'll tell you some roles of these actors that I've enjoyed, or some notable roles of theirs, just if maybe you're not familiar with them. Some actors on this list have been nominated, but I tried to keep it to actors that have only been nominated 1 to 2 times. So there are some actors who have been nominated several times already. The Ryan Goslings and Bradley Coopers that I think will win Oscars eventually. But they didn't make this list just because they've been in Oscar talks so many times for so long that they just didn't make this list. Now, I'm just going to go here in alphabetical order by last name, because I'm not a freak. I'm not going to go by first name. So yeah, let's just get right into it, because this might be a little long. Actually, I don't think it'll be that long, because I'm not spending too much time on anyone. First up, we have Mr. Sterling K. Brown. So he is definitely on the older end of this list. I believe he's 48 years old. That's not old, but he's on the older end of this list. But he's one of the ones on this list, I would say like top 2 or 3, that I am most confident in. Like, yes, I think he's going to win an actor. I'm not really a betting man, but if I was, I would bet on him taking home one of those gold statues one day. He received a nomination, his first nomination this last year, for American Fiction. And I don't think it's a matter of him being good enough. I think it's a matter of the role getting enough publicity. So he has 2 acting Emmys on 8 nominations. He has 1 Golden Globe on 2 nominations, and he has 4 SAG Awards. Obviously, he's most well known for his time on This Is Us, American Fiction that I mentioned, Black Panther, his brief role in that. But my personal favorite role of his is actually a 1-episode arc that he did on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was nominated for an Emmy and a guest role, for actor in a guest role in that, and he's so good in that episode. I don't remember I think the episode is called The Box, but I don't remember what like the season number and episode are, but it's so good. It's just the whole episode takes place in the interrogation room with him as this suspect, and then being interrogated by Jake Peralta and Captain Hoult. That is probably my favorite episode of that whole show. It's just so good. And it's a filler episode, but it's one of the best episodes in the show, because of Sterling K. Brown mostly, and Andy Samberg. Next up, we have Austin Butler, who Hollywood Reporter dubbed the Golden Boy. He has 1 Oscar nomination, 1 Golden Globe win. He won the Golden Globe, and 2 SAG nominations. Obviously, he is most known for Elvis, which got him a lot of those nominations, got him that Golden Globe. And I really think that that's going to help set him up from not just a heartthrob actor that was on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon in brief appearances and in kids' movies and random things. It's like, I think people have taken note now that like, oh, this dude is a legit actor. He started getting roles in more serious films and TV shows. I know he was in the Masters in the Air. Am I thinking of the right thing here? Is that what it's called? Masters of the Air. I'm sorry, not in the air. Masters of the Air, right? Yeah, him and Callum Turner. Yeah, and he's just gotten a handful of roles and other things. The Bike Riders. I personally love him in Dune Part 2 as Feyd-Rautha. He's one of my favorite villains. You can find a list of my my favorite movie villains on my blog. I'll link that down below. That just came out. But Austin Butler, I think he will take home an Oscar one day. So the person I'm most confident on this list, this is not going to be a shock to you if you've watched any of my recent videos. I have a pretty healthy obsession with this guy. Timothee Chalamet, he will win an Oscar, and I would say in the next decade, he will win an Oscar. That's a Shane Wilson guarantee right there, which means absolutely nothing, but hey. Although he only has one nomination, which is shocking to me, but he garnered that at age 19. I mean, you'd think he has one nomination at 19. I think he's 27 or 28 now, so it's like, what's happening then? His career's just skyrocketed, even though he hasn't gotten that Oscar nomination. He's gotten several Golden Globe nominations and different things. He starred in huge blockbuster movies like Wonka and Dune. I mean, he's a draw. He's in a movie, people are going to see it. He's in a movie, I want to see it. But I think that he will win an Oscar, maybe multiple. I think he is this generation's Leonardo DiCaprio, and I second Hollywood Reporter's analysis of dubbing him the sure thing. Now, this next actor is a little lesser known. If you're a film fan, I'm sure you know who he is. His name is Harris Dickinson. Now, this is an actor, an example of one of the actors that I think may not win, maybe not win the award itself, but he'll get a nomination or two throughout his career. He's most well known for films like Triangle of Sadness, which is Best Picture winner. He was the main character in that. And then Where the Crawdads Sing, where he played the antagonist in that and was a great antagonist in that. And The Iron Claw, which he played a very tragic character, obviously, in that movie. If you know anything about that movie, he played a very tragic character. And in all three of those movies, he played extremely distinctly different characters. So he has a lot of diversity. I'm a big fan of The Iron Claw. I think it was snubbed at this most recent awards season, specifically by the Oscars. Well, most awards associations, actually. But anyways, Harris Dickinson, I think he'll get a nomination one day. Because, I mean, look at that resume already. Next, we have the oldest actor on this list, Peter Dinklage. Now, I don't think that the 50-year-old Peter Dinklage will win an Oscar, but I also don't think that he's going to finish his career, I mean, unless he just decides to retire right now, without at least being nominated for one. I know he is more well known for his TV work, but he's not slacking on the movies. He's been in movies in comedies like Elf, Death at the Funeral. He was in both versions. He was in a musical with, is it Serrano? Is that how you say it? He's been in an Oscar-winning movie like 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. He's been in big franchises. He's been in a lot of big franchises. X-Men, Avengers, Transformers, Hunger Games. He was in the Songbirds and Snakes movie, The Chronicles of Narnia. But obviously he is most known and has won a lot of awards for his TV work as Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones. I mean, duh. For that, he has 1 Golden Globe on 2 nominations, 2 SAG Awards on 16 nominations, and he has 9 Emmy nominations with a record for supporting actor in a drama role, 4 Emmys. So he's already a very decorated actor, and I think that that's going to continue to grow, and I think he'll get an Oscar nomination someday. Next up, my biggest snub from this Oscars last season, I just mentioned it a second ago, The Iron Claw, was Zac Efron not getting a nomination for this movie. And for that reason, he made this list. And I think that he's going to be able to break that mold in the stigma that people have around him. It's not necessarily a negative stigma, but people are like, oh, Zac Efron, the High School Musical guy. Yeah, he's always going to be Zac Efron, the High School Musical guy. Nothing wrong with that. But since then, majority of his roles have been in dumb, stupid, and I don't mean that in a bad way. That's just the genre, like dude comedies, right? Like, what movie did I just watch with him in? Oh, Ricky Stenicki. I just watched that movie with him in it. I know he was in the movie Neighbors. He was in Baywatch. He's in... was he in... it's just movies like that, right? But, I mean, his 2 serious roles recently were Ted Bundy in that movie. Was it Extremely evil, shocking, and wickedly vile, or something like that. And for his role as Kevin Von Erich in The Iron Claw. And I think that he's going to start to get more serious roles. Not that only serious roles win and get nominated for Oscars, but more, roles that people are going to take seriously is more what I mean. Next up, we have another entry that was on Hollywood Reporter's list, and I just want to say I put this list together before that article, so I'm not copying them, though there are a lot of similarities, which makes sense. Jacob Elordi, Kissing Booth and Euphoria are really what put him on the map, and then recently he's been in all kinds of things, though, like Elvis and Saltburn. He played Elvis in Priscilla. He was not in Elvis. And Saltburn, and I think he's just continued to make waves as he gets more high-profile roles. I mean, he just took a role as Frankenstein's monster in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I'm not saying he's going to win an Oscar for that, but I think roles more roles like that are going to be in more critically acclaimed films are just going to continue to come for Jacob Elordi. And I mean, he's pretty young, so I think that he still has a long time to go, and he'll get a couple nominations throughout his path. So next up, we actually have the most Oscar-nominated actor on this list with 2 nominations, which I put him on this list, and I figured it was probably more nominations, but I still put him on here. Andrew Garfield. I think he will absolutely take home an Oscar within the next few years. I know many people think that he should have taken it home for Tick, Tick, Boom. Was it 3 years ago at the Slappy Oscars? He has 4 Golden Globe nominations, 1 win, 3 SAG nominations, and he's currently set to star in a couple films. I don't know enough about them or how they're going to be to know, if they're going to be Oscar-nominated films or not. But he's going to be starring in a romantic drama opposite Florence Pugh. And he'll be starring in another film as Carl Sagan, which obviously there's a little pattern to playing real people and winning Oscars, or at least getting nominated for Oscars. But I think he will win an Oscar here soon. He's been in so many critically acclaimed movies already. Hacksaw Ridge, Tick, Tick, Boom. I think those are the 2 that he has his nominations for. And then he's been in other films like, what is it called? Silence. The Social Network. I mean, it was his first big role. And he was great in that. So, Andrew Garfield, there you go. Now we go from Spider-Man to Venom, Tom Hardy, who has 1 Oscar nomination for The Revenant. Tom Hardy, I think he's going to continue to take on a lot of those blockbuster roles like he has as Max in Mad Max, Venom in Venom, Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. He's been in Nolan films like obviously The Dark Knight Rises, and Inception, Dunkirk. He's been in movies like those. And I think he'll continue to take on those blockbuster roles because he is a blockbuster actor. But I think he'll continue to take on a few more dramatic roles between there that are going to earn him at least a couple more Oscar nominations. And I think Tom Hardy, in my opinion, is one of the most versatile actors, especially right now in Hollywood. I don't even know what that dude's actual voice sounds like. He sounds different, looks different, and is playing completely different characters in everything that he's in. So just huge props to him for that. Now we have Tom Hardy's Mad Max Fury Road co-star, War Boy, Nux, was that his name? Nicholas Hoult. Like I said, he's appeared in those franchises like Mad Max. He was in X-Men. I think that's probably his most well-known role, at least especially for me, was as Beast in the X-Men franchise as the younger version. He's soon to take on the role of Lex Luthor in James Gunn's Superman in 2025. And he has also appeared in acclaimed films like The Favorite and The Menu. He's played a variety of real figures like J.D. Salinger, Nikola Tesla, J.R.R. Tolkien. Now he has some upcoming roles, and I'm not saying either of those are going to win Oscars, but I could see these being acclaimed roles, just like that, critically acclaimed, not necessarily award-winning though. He is going to be the protagonist in the remake of Nosferatu, and he's going to be playing a neo-Nazi in The Order. So I could see both of those being good dramatic roles that get critical acclaim. So I think that he is going to get his first Oscar nomination very soon. Next up, we have Oscar Isaac, who some people believe that he should have received an Oscar nomination for his role in Inside Llewyn Davis, for which he did get a Golden Globe nomination. I'll admit I have not seen that film, so I'm not going to say whether or not he should get a nomination for that. That's not what I know him for. What I know him for is being one of the new kings of the nerds. And to me, and maybe you may know what I mean by that. It's just that dude has been in every nerd franchise, right? Not all, well, and just such iconic roles. I mean, Poe Dameron in Star Wars, that was where I first heard of him. Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse, Miguel O'Hara / Spider-Man 2099 in the Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse franchise, and I'm sure he'll be in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Duke Leto Atreides in Dune. Like, this dude's just checking every box. I know he's been in other acclaimed films like Ex Machina, and he has upcoming roles in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein with Jacob Elordi. Jacob Elordi is Frankenstein's monster. Oscar Isaac is Dr. Frankenstein himself. And he also has a role in The Hands of Dante, is the name of the film, and he will be playing the Italian poet Dante. So I think Oscar Isaac will get a nomination within the next half decade. Next, we have a name that is not as well known as the other names on this list. He may be the most unknown name on this list. Maybe you know him, though. Jharrel Jerome. He starred in the 2016 Best Picture winner Moonlight. Looking at his resume, he has fewer roles than a lot of people on this list. Most notably, recently, he had a very brief role that I'm sure will be more in the next film as the Prowler version of Miles Morales in Across the Spider-Verse. I personally first took note of him for his role, as did I'm sure many people, in When They See Us, which he had a lead role and he won an Emmy for at age 21. That is a limited series on Netflix about a group of black teenagers who are wrongly convicted of a crime, and them first just the lead up to it, them getting convicted of this crime and how they were like manipulated by the legal system, and then there's time in prison, and then their time afterwards after they were proven innocent. And that is just a very, very fascinating, it's heartbreaking, but it's very fascinating series, and you should definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. Anyways, I think that Jharrel Jerome's career is just going to skyrocket soon. I think that soon he's just going to have a role. I mean, he had a role in a Best Picture winner. He's won an Emmy. I think he's going to have a role soon that's just going to skyrocket him, though, and I could see him getting some Oscar nominations in the future. Next up, we have another one of the oldest actors on this list. And I smell what he's cooking. It is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That was so cheesy. I'm sorry. So The Rock is not your typical Oscar nominee. He's been in a lot of movies recently, a lot of blockbuster movies. He's like the highest grossing actor of the last decade, a decade and a half, whatever. He's been in those action blockbusters. He's started some comedy movies. He's been in the big superhero movies, Black Adam. He was in the Jumanji movies, right? Fast and the Furious. But I think that he will receive a nomination for his upcoming role in A24's The Smashing Machine, which will debut in December, the end of this year. I'm not sure the exact date on that. I just think I remember it was December, but I know it was towards the end of this year. In that, he is playing a real-life MMA fighter, I believe, named Mark Kerr, I believe. The only thing we've seen about the movie is a still shot that I'll put on the screen right now of him. He looks pretty much unrecognizable. Like, maybe if you saw it, you would be like, oh my gosh, that guy looks like The Rock, but you probably wouldn't think, oh, that's The Rock. But I think that he is really, really going to make people take note that, like, hey, I actually am an actor. I can play characters other than The Rock, which I think is true. I think it will be, and I think that he is the kind of actor, whether you like this or you don't, that wants the nomination, and so he's going to campaign for himself. I personally think that's fine. I don't have any issues with it. I think whether or not the Academy decides to listen to it, and to what extent that can be an issue, maybe with picking the winners, but I don't think there's anything wrong if you think you deserve to be nominated, then campaigning for that. So, shout out to The Rock. Next up, we have Michael B. Jordan, who is just one of the actors that I am most shocked by his lack of a nomination as of yet. I think that he will certainly receive not only a nomination, but eventually he will take home an Oscar. I feel like it's very easy to say, like, this person is this generation's. I mean, I know the ones that I've done recently are Leonardo DiCaprio, or Timothee Chalamet is this generation's Leonardo DiCaprio, and Glenn Powell, who's not on this list but he probably could be, is this generation's Tom Cruise, and Austin Butler, who was on this list, is this generation's Brad Pitt. I think Michael B. Jordan, and I promise I'm not just saying this because he's black, because I feel like that's easy to say. I think he could be this generation's Denzel Washington. I think that he could do a little bit of everything, and he can check every box. He wants to go be a successful stage actor. He could do that. He wants to do dramatic roles. He could do that. I mean, he's an absolute heartthrob. Women love him. He's an attractive, good-looking dude. He's already doing that, right? So I think that he could be this generation's Denzel, and with that, I think is going to come an Oscar. I think he already could have received a nomination for his role in Fruitvale Station or Creed. I think he especially could have received a nomination for Black Panther. I do think Black Panther helped break the mold a little bit with superhero movies receiving some critical acclaim because it got nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. And I know Angela Bassett was the first actress nominated for a role in a Marvel movie for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I think Michael B. Jordan could have gotten a nomination for Black Panther as Killmonger. And I think it's more of a matter of time than of when than if with Mr. Michael B. here. Next up, we have Barry Keoghan, another actor with one nomination under his belt. He was nominated for The Banshees of Inisherin, which is a movie that I vouch for hard. All of the three lead actors, well, I guess the four actors that all got nominated for Oscars for that film. I'm sorry, I have I don't have gas. I have bubbles, gas coming out here, not there. You wouldn't be able to hear it down there though, so I wouldn't have to say anything. But that movie is just great. He's very popular right now for, especially obviously his role in Saltburn, which he just played an absolute weirdo. I haven't seen the movie. He got a Golden Globe and BAFTA nomination for actor in a supporting role in that film. He did not get an Oscar nomination, which I'll admit I'm a little bit happy about because then I would have had to have watched the movie. And while I don't know if he'll get an award, I think he's going to be a staple nominee for years to come. Next up, we have George MacKay. Not too much to say here. He's known mostly for his role in as the lead in 1917, and I think he could have earned a nomination, honestly, for that role. But he seems to prefer more dramatic, emotional, serious roles if you look at his filmography. So I think that he could receive a nomination here at some point in the future. Next up, we have Mr. Paul Mescal, who he has a pretty short filmography, especially compared to a lot of the other names on this list. But that does not stop him from being one of the most talked about actors at this moment. He has one nomination to his name for After Sun, and he in the movie. I know a lot of people think that he and the movie as a whole and Andrew Scott were snubbed this year for All of Us Strangers. I haven't seen that, so I'm not sure. He's starred in a few other things, right? But he takes on his first blockbuster role at the end of this year with Gladiator 2 coming out. He takes forefront there. I think that would be cool if he got an Oscar nomination for that. I'm not saying he will or won't, but I think he'll win an Oscar eventually. Next up, we have Charles Melton, who is another one of the biggest snubs of the 90th Academy Awards. This last Academy Awards was Charles Melton for May December for actor in a supporting role. He should have gotten a nomination there, I'll just say it. The number of nominations he got from that film is pretty incredible. I'm going to put a snapshot up right here of all of the nominations he received from various organizations and associations and whatever else. I think that let people know, though, that he's more than just a CW teen heartthrob. And I think he's going to start to get more roles that will eventually get him that deserved Oscar nomination. Next, we have the zaddy of Hollywood, Pedro Pascal. I mentioned Oscar Isaac being one of the kings of the nerds. To me, Pedro Pascal is right now is the king of the nerds. He has appeared in, obviously, Star Wars as the Mandalorian, and will be making a film. And we'll be making a film debut with that, I think 2025 or 26. I think it's probably 26. They announced those movies pretty far in the future. Obviously, he appeared as Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones. He appeared as Maxwell Lord, that's his name, in the DC film Wonder Woman 1984, which isn't considered a great movie, but I know a lot of people enjoyed his performance. He has appeared in Kingsman. He was in The Last of Us, obviously. which he won an award for that. I mean, he won the SAG award for that. He has upcoming roles in the new Gladiator coming out at the end of this year, and obviously is Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four in the MCU. He's reached that level of popularity that roles are just going to continue to come for him if he wants to take them, and I think an Oscar nomination will eventually come to. Finally, we have Alexander Skarsgard. So while his father, Stellan Skarsgard, I think is probably one of the best actors to never receive an Oscar nomination, that'll be either another video or a blog post of those actors who I think are the best actors to have never received an Oscar nomination and are maybe at the points in their careers that they won't. Not that I think you should ever be counted out because of your age. I mean, we saw a lot of first-time nominees you would consider older, like Jeffrey Wright, Paul Giamatti. Cillian Murphy's not older, but I mean, it was his first nomination, and he's not a young guy. Anyways, I had to take my pick of which of the Swedish brothers here, the Skarsgård brothers, would eventually get their family an Oscar nod as a nomination. And I think Alexander was the clear choice over Gustav, who I mostly know for his role in Vikings, though I know he was also had a minor role in Oppenheimer. And what's the other one's name? Bill, who plays just like weird characters. Like I know he was just in that movie, like where like, and I can't think of what it was called. Boy Kills or something. And then, but I mean, he's played Pennywise in It, so he just does weirder stuff. To me, Alexander's the clear choice. He's coming off right now an Emmy nomination and a Golden Globe nomination for Succession. Bill Skarsgård is also playing Nosferatu in Nosferatu. That's another thing. Anyways, yeah. So Alexander Skarsgård, I think his tendency, he gets the most high-profile roles that could have the most potential for an Oscar nomination, and I think he will get one here soon. So that's the list. Like I said, I know not all of these guys were younger, but I'm going to say this real quick, stand on a soapbox real quick. The Oscars this year really leaned on their more decorated actors with more impressive resumes and gave them nods over, I think, younger actors who would have gotten their first nominations. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think maybe actors like Charles Melton, Zac Efron, for example, those two guys should have gotten some nominations, maybe opposed to some other stars here. Not here, but just that did get nominations. Again, to each their own, though. This is just a little list I put together. I don't know how long this video is. Let's see. About half an hour. All right. So that's pretty good. You can stay tuned for the best actresses, the 20 actresses that I think will get Oscar nominations. I got to write out the little script because right now I literally just have all their names typed out. I got to put a little blurb there for me to reference off of. I don't usually do like word for word, but I put a couple notes there of things I want to say. So I need to do that, and that video will be coming soon. Thank you so much for watching this one. I really appreciate it. I think this is a really interesting list. And let me know whether it's an actor that's on this list or that didn't make it, an actor that you think will get an Oscar nomination or an Oscar here in the coming years. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.